Good afternoon to all. We are going to see the point in employment relation, that is collective bargaining. So let us understand what is collective bargaining is all about. So let us understand the definition. Collective bargaining is a type of negotiation used by employees to work with their employers. So it is a kind of a discussion in terms of, or it is a bargaining in terms of employment rules and regulations which are being discussed between two parties. One is employees, another is employers. So it is a bargaining procedure or a process which has been determined for the sake of understanding both parties views related to employment and the wages, working conditions and other aspects related to employment relations. In during collective bargaining period or in the process of collective bargaining, workers representative approach to the employers and attempt to negotiate a contract which both parties can agree with. So the ultimate aim of collective bargaining is to create a kind of a contract and a negotiation process where both the parties can understand and negotiate their expectations from each other. Typical issues covered in labor contract. Typical issues covered in labor contract are hours, wages, benefits, working conditions and the rules of workplace. Once both party sides have decided to reach at the contract that they find agreeable, it is signed and kept in place for set period of time, most commonly for 3 years. So it means collective bargaining is not a kind of a process which can be carried out for 6 months or a particular annual years. The kind of agreement which can be useful for reducing the kind of industrial dispute. Collective bargaining is a mechanism to provide a kind of a relaxation between both the parties and having a kind of a settlement of understanding between both the parties. It is a negotiation agreement between two parties. The final contract is called as a collective bargaining agreement to reflect the fact that it is a result of collective bargaining effort. The parties of often refers to the result of negotiation as a collective bargaining agreement. It is called as CBA, as a collective employment agreement, CEA. So now we have understood what exactly collective bargaining as a definition or kind of a understanding of as a concept. Now we will see the features of collective bargaining. It is a collective process. Basically it is a collective process. Why it is a collective process? It has two parties and their understanding, mutual understanding between employees and employers. Though it is a process for understanding a mutual consent between both the parties. So it is a collective process. The representatives of both workers and management parties are being bargaining. Both the parties are bargaining with their own expectations from each other. It is a continuous process. It establishes regular and stable relationship between the parties involved in it. It involves not only a negotiation of contract but also administration of contract. It is a flexible and dynamic process. Why it is a flexible? Because both the parties can add their own thought processes in terms of employment and their interest. So it is a flexible and dynamic. The parties have to adopt a flexible attitude towards this particular bargaining and the process of bargaining. It is a method of partnership of workers in management. It is a nevertheless it is a kind of a decision making ability between both the parties, and a kind of employers are taking help to have a kind of a better understanding between each other, which will help to increase the workers participation management. So it is a kind of a democratic effort which has been taken care by employers in taking care of. So what is the importance of collective bargaining? Let us understand importance to the society. Collective bargaining leads to industrial peace in the country. It results in establishment harmonious industrial relations or the climate which supports which helps to have a pace of nation's efforts towards economic and social development, since the obstacles to such development can be reduced considerably. It discriminate and exploit of workers is going to be checked through this particular collective bargaining. So there will not be a kind of discrimination. To reduce the discrimination, to reduce the exploitation, collective bargaining helps in checking those all kind of stuff as far as employment relations are concerned in an organization. It provides a method or the regulation of the conditions of employment of those who are directly concerned about them. Now let us understand importance to the employers. This collective bargaining becomes easier for the management to resolve issues at the bargaining level rather than taking them taking them into a kind of complaints of individuals towards workers. Collective bargaining tends to promote a sense of job security among the employees and thereby tends to reduce the cost of labor turnover to the management. So if proper collective bargaining is happen, then absenteeism and labor turnover will be reduced. Collective bargaining opens up the channel of communication between the workers and the management, and which helps to increase workers participation in decision making. Collective bargaining plays a vital role in setting and preventing industrial dispute, which is ultimately cause for industrial peace harmony. Let us understand importance of collective bargaining to the employees. Collective bargaining develops a sense of self-respect and responsibility among the employees. It increases the strength of workforce, thereby increasing their bargaining capacity as a group. Collective bargaining increases the morale and productivity of employees. It restricts management's freedom for arbitrary action against the employees. The workers feel motivated as they can approach the management on various matters and bargain for higher benefits. It helps in securing a prompt and fair settlement of grievances. It provides a flexible means of adjustment of wages and employment conditions to economic and technological changes. Changes in industry, as a result of which changes for conflict are reduced due to collective bargaining. It means collective bargaining in terms of employees, employers, and to the society will definitely grow a kind of a good bonding between each other, and which will help to give a kind of industrial peace, the pace to the economic development, and definitely ultimately it will leads to the peace and the harmony to the mankind. So ultimate aim of collective bargaining is to resolve the issues. So the what exactly collective bargaining process includes? It includes understanding of management proposal, union claim. So the kind of union is always claiming what they expects from the management. So they will prepare their union claim, they will set a management proposal, and they will negotiate. So there will be a negotiation process will happen. So both the parties will come together, they will put their own claims. What will be the kind of claims from the employees will be put by trade union, and management will expect certain out of that particular claim, and then there will be a negotiation will happen. So there will be a kind of a arrangement of third party referral for both the parties. If both the parties are having a kind of a certain kind of a kind of discussions where they are not meeting or they are not coming to the collective approach, then definitely third party will be taken into consideration, referral and understanding and observations, and then there will be a settlement, and that settlement will be happen with the both parties expectations and the demands which have been expected will be uh, coming as a collective agreement as a process of collective bargaining. So preparation phase, they will prepare a kind of agreement for what they are expecting from the employers. Then in discussion, the parties decides to ground rules that will guide negotiations. An environment of mutual trust and understanding will be taken into consideration in discussion part. In proposed, it involves the initial opening of the statements and the possible options that exist to resolve them, and the word that or the phrases which are being used for brainstorming or exchanging the thoughts and opinions and places for both the parties is to be solved in proposed phase. Then bargaining phase will give you negotiations are as easy if a problem solving attitude is adopted. The stage comprises the time when what ifs and supposals are set forth to drafting an agreement between both. So what are the bargaining pointers which are been taken into consideration in bargain point, and then settlement will be happen once the parties are through with the bargaining process. The consensual agreement is reached upon where both the parties agree to a common decision regarding the problem. This stage describes effective joint implementation and agreement through sharing strategic planning and implementation of it. The levels of bargainings will help you in terms of economic. Okay, so the bargaining in bipartite and tripartite form of negotiation between union, confederation, central employer associations and government agencies. It aims to providing a floor lower level bargaining on the terms of employment, often taking into account macroeconomic goals. Sectoral bargaining, here the enterprise level bargaining is aiming at. It involves the company and its establishment. It emphasizes on the point of bargaining levels needs to be mutually exclusive. So if you look at these all, now what are the different problems which are being faced in collective bargaining? Due to dominance of outsider in trade unionism in the country, there is a multiplicity of unions which are weak or unstable or do not represent majority of employees. Moreover, they are inter-union rivalries which further hinder to the process of collective bargaining between labor and management. Trade unions are having political affiliations. They are affiliated to different parties. They continue to dominate by politicians which used to be the unions and their members to meet their political ends. There is a lack of definite procedure to determine which union is to be recognized to serve the bargaining agent on behalf of the workers. There has been very close association between the trade unions and political parties. As a result, trade union movements has leaned towards political orientation rather than the collective bargaining. With this note, we have understood the collective bargaining. Thank you for listening and watching this. You can subscribe and like this video on my YouTube channel. Thank you. Thanks a lot.